So here we are in the Azure portal, and we're going to go through creating the first instance of our web app and our Azure SQL database. I have just an empty Azure dashboard here. We're going to put some of the resources in this on this dashboard to make it easy to get to. But the first thing I'm going to do is go to this menu on the left-hand side and hit Create Resource. We're going to select Web App, and we're going to create a new resource group. A resource group is just a logical container where we can commingle resources, we can set some security controls, tags, that kind of thing on it. So I'm going to call this RG Talks Tech. And now we need to create a web app name. We'll call this SH Talks Tech East. We're going to put this in the East US. And we have multiple options of how we want to publish our code. Once again, I'm using a .NET Core application with a SQL database, and I'm just going to push the code out directly. I'm not going to containerize it or anything. Once again, this isn't for how you should set up a CI/CD pipeline. This is really just to show you a multi-region architecture. So I'm going to select .NET Core here, and I'm going to choose Windows and East US. Okay. The next thing I need to decide is the app service plan. The app service plan is where the web app sits. You can almost think of it like a virtual machine with IIS installed or some other kind of web server on a machine. You can have multiple web apps sitting on top of that web server. So in this case, I could have 10 web apps sitting on top of this app service plan. So I'm going to call this ASP-Talks Tech East. And I'm gonna just bring this down to a basic. I don't need anything fancy. So we're just gonna go to the basic option, hit apply. On the monitoring page, I can choose to also create an Application Insights instance, which is tied to this web app. I don't need that for this. Application Insights is a fantastic telemetry tool for your application. I use it for anything that I'm deploying where I do want to see if there's failures and other things happening, track user usage, traffic, and that kind of thing. Not necessary for this instance. So I'm just going to select no here and then review and create. Okay, it's been validated. We'll go ahead and click create. All right, so while that's deploying, I'm gonna go back and also deploy the database. So just like I did before, gonna click this button, create resource, and then now we're gonna select SQL database. We're gonna use the existing resource group that's been created, so no need to create a new one. And we're gonna enter the database name as Core DB. This is one where the specific tutorial that I'm using, that's the name of the database. So we have to put in Core DB here. We can't just put anything else in. And for the server, we don't have a server, so I'm going to create a new one. We can see actually just popped up there that the deployment's been completed. So we'll go back to that in a minute. Similar to how a web app sits on top of an app service plan, a database sits on top of a server. There's a little difference here in the fact that the database is actually where the capacity, the provisioned resources are, but the server serves networking considerations. That's where we log into as a server, and this concept should be pretty similar to anybody who's worked with SQL Server in the past. So for the server name, I'm going to put SQL Server Talks Tech East. See if that one works. Yeah. And I'm going to put Talks Tech User, and I'm going to grab a password here. Make sure you store this password, and we're going to put it in East US. It's going to go off, create that server, and then ignore the elastic pools. And then for configuration, I'm going to go to kind of a different model here. Clearly, I don't need this much database. So I'm going to go to the basic standard premium model, and I'm just going to select a standard 10 DTU database, and we will click apply. On the networking side, we will want it to have a public endpoint. I want to be able to connect to it. I want to allow other Azure services and resources to access this server. It means I want my web app to access it, and then I'm going to add my current client IP address so that I can access it. There are a lot of other networking configurations for this database that you can use so that it's more secure, more privatized. We're not going to get very deep into any of those settings today. I just want to make it as easy as possible to connect our web app and for me to connect to the database when I need to. I'm going to skip kind of the backup stuff here and just click review and create again. It's going to validate that, and then it's going to initialize that deployment. Okay, let's go back to the web app and we're gonna pin, actually I think it's this one here. No, that's not it. Let's go to RG-Talks Tech. Here we have that resource group. We're gonna pin this resource group to this dashboard. That way we can easily get access to it. And then we will go into our web app. We're gonna pin that as well. So if we go back out to our dashboard here, we should see both those resources. And let's go ahead and customize this dashboard. Move this over here, just makes it easier for us to see. So you see here what we have created. We have our app service plan and our web app. That might be one that's kind of left over from before. That may just be showing up. It may have not been deleted. Okay, let's see if our database has been created here. So that deployment is in progress. So we'll come back here in a few moments once these two items have been deployed. Okay, we're back here in the portal and you see we have our database created, we have our app service plan and our web app created as well. So the first thing we're going to do is just go into our web app and see what's been deployed. We haven't made any changes to this, we haven't updated it. This is what automatically gets deployed. So if we click browse, you'll see there is just a basic sample website that's been deployed. And there's a set of languages here that are supported by Azure App Service. It's not just .NET, it supports Java, Ruby, Node, Python, PHP, so on and so forth. So it's very flexible, whether you're going on the Linux Docker variant, the Windows Docker, or just pushing code directly. Lots of options here. So we're gonna come back to that a little bit. There's other things we need to do, some app settings we need to change, but I just wanted to show you that. And here, as well as the app service plan, you can see there's a web app, and if we go to the app service plan, you can see which apps sit on the app service plan. And you see right now we only have one app, but this is where we can also scale. So, I deployed a B1. If I want to take this to a standard, I can go over here and increase the not only the capacity, but also the features that are available to me. And then I also have the option of scaling out. Right now I'm running a single instance, but within this region, I could say, hey, I want 10 instances of this app, and it's going to load balance the traffic across that app. So that's a real quick primer on app services and an app service plan. If we go over to our database, you'll see this has also been deployed. We have lots of options here. We're not going to spend time going through this. I just want to show you, if we log into the database, there's a quick preview query editor here. You'll see that we don't have anything in this database. If I kind of expand these are your firewall rules, which come as part of the database, but we don't have any tables, any stored procedures. So this is just a blank, empty database. If we go up to the server level and we click on databases, you'll once again see which databases are deployed here. Okay, so that's just a look at the two items we deployed. What we're going to do next is deploy the same thing, but now in the West US 2 region.